So taking HRT, and HRT replaces those hormones that have been lost by going through the menopause. And they are taken, and they are very safe for most women. There are some exceptions to that, but generally they're very safe. But one of the big problems we have here in Tanzania is that they're not covered by insurance, so they can be very expensive to buy here. If people want to avoid hormones or can't take hormones, for example, if you've had previous breast cancer, we would be really reluctant to have HRT. Then you can use some antidepressants and some other medications such as clonidine and other things, but they don't tend to work as well as the HRT for improving symptoms. So HRT, hormone replacement therapy, we have lots of different preparations now. So you can take the estrogen and the progestogen in lots of different forms. So traditionally, it used to all be in the tablet form. And then now we also have patches that you can wear on your skin, and the hormones are absorbed through the skin. We have gels that you can rub onto your arms, and then we have, and these are much more natural than the traditional tablets that we used to take. So we have, you can take what suits you. We also have creams that you can use just on your vagina if you're getting the vaginal symptoms, which don't have the same systemic effects. So the complications that you can have. So when you take HRT, we want to make sure that you're suitable for it. So as I mentioned, if you've had previous breast cancer, then you shouldn't be taking it. But for most people, it's safe. Now, if you are taking the oral HRT, there's an increased risk of having blood clots in the legs or lungs. So something called a DVT, a deep vein thrombosis, or a venothromboembolism. And therefore, we wouldn't want to give it to you orally if you've got risk factors for that. And risk factors for that would be things like being overweight, being a smoker. But if we give you the HRT transdermally, then there are no risks of having the blood clots in the legs or lungs, and no risk of increased stroke with that either. But if we're giving you the gels or the patches through the skin or the tablets, then there is an increased risk of breast cancer. And that's the one that everyone's always really scared about. So the risk of breast cancer is dose dependent. So it depends on how much estrogen you're taking and and progestogen, and for how long you're taking it for. Okay. It's a small increased risk, and we have some really good charts that we can show you so that you can know about how much risk you're increasing with the HRT. Now, I've been talking a lot about estrogen and progestogen, but what I've mentioned before is that you need the estrogen to get your symptoms back up to normal, so to remove all of those symptoms, which is great, but also you need the progestogen to protect the lining inside of your uterus called your endometrium. Because if we just give you estrogen, then that can overgrow on its own and could down the line lead to cancer. So we always need to make sure that we give you both of those things. Now, the HRT is also, so the HRT is very beneficial because one, it will help with all the symptoms that I mentioned, but secondly, it will protect your bones. It completely depends. So some women have their symptoms completely removed by taking HRT. So it doesn't tend to happen overnight. What it tends to be is that when we start HRT, we then tweak it, and we need to maybe increase some doses or reduce some doses or change the preparation and play around a little bit. But usually we can get women to a very, very good baseline state that they were in before they went through the menopause. You can take it. So you would take it, women will take it just over the period of time while they're having problems. So usually women will give it a try. Say, for example, somebody came to see me at the age of 50, and then she may take it for, say, 4 to 5 years and then stop taking it after 4 to 5 years. So the patches, you usually put patches on twice a week, and then with the gel you would use that every day, and a tablet you would take generally every day as well. So if you don't get along with it, you can stop it very easily and it's all out of your system. Sure, I mean, I think I would say go and see your doctor. I would say you need to go and talk to somebody, because often these things are multifactorial. So as I mentioned before, women at this age often have mental health problems, which can be due to so many things. And HRT is not going to just solve that everything, but it's about being listened to in a clinic and having a conversation with the doctor and coming up with a plan together about what suits you. So I think that it would always be about sort of that. I try and always take like a very holistic approach to a patient to make sure that we look at everything for them. Sometimes people will experience no symptoms, sometimes people will sail through the menopause and find it very liberating to no longer have the burden of fertility and, you know, the fear of having more and more pregnancies. Often women find that very liberating. Other women will have 1 or 2 symptoms and still feel fine, and some women will experience absolutely everything and have a really hard time. So I think it's just about opening up these conversations with your peers and knowing about it, and then seeking help if you do need it. Feel that. So it depends. I think if women have had problems with fertility their whole lives and haven't been able to conceive, they can then feel a real mourning and a loss of that chance of fertility. But a lot of other women who've had, you know, multiple pregnancies, then they find it's been a real burden on them, that then when they go through the menopause they feel a great sense of relief. So I think we should never judge and expect what we're going to find with women. Each woman is an individual, and that's why a very holistic approach, taking the whole person into account, is really important. No, unfortunately, men don't go through menopause. So men have a gradual decline in their testosterone levels over time, but they don't go through anything so sudden as stopping your periods and going through this big shift in hormones. Their testosterone, it declines over time. So all of our hormones decline over time. With women, what happens is it's a very sudden drop when you have the menopause because your periods just stop. Okay, whereas that doesn't. It's much more of a gradual decline.
Well, you heard it from the doctor. Experiencing all these symptoms are normal for a woman. Mind you, menopause is a stage in a woman's life that is inevitable. So you may want to just welcome the journey and find ways and means of trying to embrace these symptoms. And if you can, just sign up for HRT treatment with Dr. Anna Breda. It's a CPRT hospital in Dar es Salaam. Many thanks for joining us. This interview, it will be uploaded live on our YouTube channel. You might want to subscribe and send us your views, comments, suggestions, questions, and we'll address it as a one. Don't forget to click the link below. See you again same time next week.